News.
The president's response came just 15 minutes after NBC's stunning announcement. "Wow," Mr. Trump tweeted. "Matt Lauer was just fired from NBC for inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace." What the president didn't mention was that more than a dozen women have accused him of sexual misconduct.
He put me in an embrace.
Last October, in the final weeks of the presidential campaign, Summer Zervos claimed she had repeatedly been harassed by Mr. Trump in 2007.
Because I'm being truthful, and I'll always be truthful.
She was a contestant on his NBC show, The Apprentice.
And I tried to push him away. I pushed his chest to put space between us, and I said, "Come on, man, get real."
Earlier this fall, Zervos' attorney served Mr. Trump a subpoena to preserve all documents concerning any accusations that were made during the campaign, that he subjected any woman to unwanted sexual touching and or sexually inappropriate behavior. The president's lawyers fought the request. Throughout the campaign, then candidate Trump dismissed the allegations.
The events never happened, never. All of these liars will be sued after the election is over.
But Mr. Trump has not followed through on that threat. And one of his accusers told us that she never believed he would sue. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders in late October.
Is the official White House position that all of these women are lying?
Yeah, we've been clear on that from the beginning, and the president's spoken on it.
You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the...
The president may also be trying to distance himself from the infamous Access Hollywood tape. One Republican ally says the president has privately cast doubt on whether it was his voice on the NBC recording, even though he had publicly apologized for it.
This was locker room talk.
The White House said that the president's view on the tape has not changed, but one Republican source said the president creates his own reality. Elaine?
Well, Margaret, you mentioned the news of Matt Lauer's firing in your piece. As allegations against several public figures continue to come out, is there any indication that the president will face any repercussions or even further scrutiny for the accusations directed at him?
Well, that subpoena we mentioned in this story from Summer Zervos' attorney was delivered in about mid-September. So some of that has been ongoing, that litigation behind the scenes, not here at the White House, but with the president's own personal attorneys who have been fielding some of those accusations and allegations and suits. But when it comes to the president making good on that threat to sue his accusers for what he said were lies, the president hasn't taken that legal action. And we've seen in the past with now President Trump, when he was a private citizen, when he was in the business world, he was very quick and very frequently threatened litigation. This was a tactic he used quite often in business and quite often when it came to those writing stories about him. And so it's something we've often seen as an empty threat, where either the lawsuit didn't go forward or it was never filed in the first place. So we shall see what happens with now President Trump, but clearly he's focused on other things at the moment. Just a week or so ago, he said that he was glad that all of these public issues were coming to light and that women were coming forward. He called it a good time for women, but really did not address any of his own personal issues.
Well, Margaret, back on that subpoena, what is expected to happen next in that process?
Well, the president's personal attorneys, Donald Trump's personal attorneys, have been fighting that request. It's interesting because it's a parallel to what the president has said he supports, which is a request for Congress to make public the names of those lawmakers who've had financial settlements regarding past claims of sexual misconduct. He wants Congress to make those public in terms of other individuals who've been accused of this type of behavior. But when it comes to his own behavior or alleged behavior, the president has fought that, and his lawyers continue to fight those claims from Summer Zervos. So our CBS teams have been in contact with her attorney and those of other women who have made claims against the president. And at this point, there's no real movement. But it is wrong to say that there aren't active claims against the president of the United States.
Well, Margaret, the New York Times has reported that President Trump has privately questioned the authenticity of the Access Hollywood tape, which he apologized for during the campaign. What are you hearing about this?
Well, CBS News has contacted about 8 sources close to the president, those who have in the past been accurate in their conveying of information about the president's thinking. They've spoken to myself, they've spoken to Major Garrett, my colleague here at the White House, and all of them said they had never heard the president talk about this. They'd never heard him question the authenticity or veracity of the tape. However, one key Republican source that my colleague Jackie Almani had spoken to said that that this in fact is something that the president has privately mused about, that maybe it wasn't really my voice on that NBC recording, but that source made the point that it's not clear if the president believes what he's saying. That perhaps this is a matter of embarrassment, perhaps it's a matter of wanting to distance himself from this or just create some room for doubt. But remember, the president did go public as a candidate and apologize in many ways for that tape, calling it locker room talk and saying he wasn't proud of it at the time. So he has vouched for its authenticity before. But what we're seeing, and the reason why it's being reported as news, is that the president casting doubt or privately casting doubt or pushing conspiracy theories, which he has been known to do even today with some other members of the media, is something that people take into consideration when they're trying to understand how he processes information, question the information that he's seeing, the authenticity and veracity of that, because all of this goes into the calculation and the mindset of the President of the United States, arguably one of the most, if not the most powerful man in the world.
All right, Margaret Brennan at the White House for us. Margaret, thank you. After a wave of sexual harassment allegations made its way through Capitol Hill, the House has moved forward on a measure mandating anti-harassment training for all members and staff. Here's Chief Congressional